Man, I have to give you props. It is very, very, very rare that somebody will break out a medieval battle reference or some kind of medieval battle thing that I don't have any clue or recollection about. So props to you there, being a little bit of a history nerd on my side. But you're 100% right. It applies perfectly here because every single time, regardless of what's happened, this contention has not gone well for either one of these teams. We barely saw last week that Aqua and Co were able to kind of squeeze out the qualification, getting through in that 13th place spot. But Benji Savage and Lecce had a real tough day yesterday. They had a tough first week, not making the qualification. However, getting off to a good start here. That's Aqua downed and taken out. They're going to make it a quick 2v1 here. Nice little piece control to get control over the vault, and they're finally going to clear that one out. But it's something we've seen from Benji in particular, but also his teams. They don't necessarily always perform well in the first part of events, whether that's the one-day event in those opening 3 games, or in this circumstance, the first 6 games. Generally, it takes a while for them to heat up. Yeah, we've talked about the ability to kind of game plan against specific opponents and cut off their rotation routes. The reason why this is going to be so tough is it's going to force the Craggy Cliffs team to kind of go north and probably catch a boating route. The issue is that island that you can see them shooting from. That's one of the few viable scavenger routes. There's an upgrade bench over there. I believe there's 12 to 15 possible fishing spots that are looped around that island as well. So it makes it one of the few places that aren't a known POI where you can drop 1 or 2 people and expect to get a desirable loadout. But now we're going to flip on over. Thomas HD, Anas, and Flick trying to close the gap over here. Actually don't see Flick anywhere nearby. So we saw that they had previously gotten it down. They're able to get the revive, get that going on, but it looks like there's Flick coming through in the end. So we'll have an even 3-on-3 with Miro, Swag, and Snap trying to combat week 1 second place team. And we saw a really good performance out of this trio yesterday.
A very strong performance there at 5th place going into this day, and I think here is the changes in the game planning. Flick, Anas, and Thomas HC realizing that Miro, Snap, and Swag here has had this opportunity essentially to get a free ride going into mid-game, and I think this time, this change, this aggression is you're seeing already 2 trios
through some of their clutch mechanics, generally the 2 of them accounting for about 47 points last week in the second place performance. But Flick says, hold on, Sundown, let me hold that while Miro holds that pump. Another real good pump burst swap over on the side, 46 damage, chasing forward. That's a 90 tag. Looked like he almost wanted to kind of chase through with a pickaxe. Hen's going to be able to get it down. You see that in the Elim feed. But Anas going to be forced back a little bit there by Snap, who is hurting right now, though, Sancho.
There, yeah, definitely. The HP advantage right now is in Flick's and Thomas and Nas's right now. These are 2 teams that did qualify, that did do really well yesterday. And just to bring up, Miro's team did not qualify. They came in 24th, just to kind of back you up there, Sundown. They came in 24th, so they're trying to get in. They're currently sitting at 5th place, and you could still have a great day, and then have a bad day following thereafter. And I think this is going to be the challenge that they're going to have. If Thomas, Anas, and Flick have decided to go ahead and push them, this is going to be very difficult with them going forward into the next 5 games, as already they're down to 1 last person. It is Snap, and he is running for his life. He's trying to survive, and he gets toasted. Out he goes, and Flick, Thomas, and Nas, who already qualified, starting off day 2 really strong here in week 2.
Kezix, 4ZR, and Nate. So far, definitely 4ZR, Nate, and Kezix showing to be the most consistent team out of Europe. But we're on board here. Fury Legendy trying to find an angle right now. Can't necessarily get the shot he's looking for with that charge shock, and he wants to do it from range. Going to be able to get the knock, or that's just the finish onto Razumi. He was able to convert over onto that. Storm Surge is still coming through and providing pressure on the side. Sabeer Jake trying to clean up that fight. Instead, that's
every fight that's happening right now will affect the leaderboard. I mean, because I always feel that in trios, it's so volatile.
Yeah, but the one thing to note there, Kezix was the one who actually got one of those down, so just sneaking in the occasional points here, which is something they do best. One Lusha eventually going to get cleaned up there by Kiko, so 3 points going over to this team. But also don't forget, this action is being driven right now by Storm Surge, and if you're generally playing Fortnite, Storm Surge is active in every game, even in the regular solo, duos, and squads playlist. However, it only comes into term when they will be under Storm Surge threat. So now if you look in the top left, because there's 67 players left, Storm Surge has now turned off, and Kiriachi says, doesn't matter, not going to stop my aggression, finds a great snipe on the back of Sick, and that's going to signal the go horn as they begin to push forward.
Kiridachi squad in week 1 finished 20th place, did not qualify, so now they're in a strong opportunity to. They had a lot of inconsistencies in week 1, and here in week 2, they are being very consistent. They're being very strong, getting a victory royale.
2 of his victories were solo clutches, one of them being the epitome of that where we started and where we ended meme. But now we're going to see that rotation come out as, again, 4th zone closing. Storm Surge is going to be pressuring a lot of these guys, and if you are the target of it, it is 25 damage every 10 seconds. So theoretically, you can start burning utility to try and heal through it, but in reality, you have to go, and you have to pressure, and you have to look for tags.
The Cryptos right there getting a pressure tag as the Storm was pushing in. Down goes a player from Rotary's trio, and that's going to be big, and there's the confirmation right there, and the siphon going through. 3 points so far for this trio. It is looking very strong for Sundown's pick. As Shayo said, the sun is rising for this trio as they had a great game 6 going in, and Hen popped off on Twitter, and I loving them seeing that the EU scene is kind of waking up there on the Twitter side of things there, Sundown.
Yeah, and we just saw up in the feed, actually, Savage was able to take down Chapix, got the confirm over onto him, so we need to keep an eye, because if Queasy Milan also go down, it's going to give an opportunity for the rest of the lobby to catch up a little bit, and I'm mainly keeping eyes, again, on Kezix, 4ZR, and Nate. They're the team who's right behind him. Deceptos and Patrick are going to have to be forced to play 2v1 here. 18 trios left. We're under 50 players remaining, so Storm Surge turning off until we get into Circle 7 now, but the next trio to drop will signify the start of our placement points, and after that, every trio that drops is 1 placement point until you get up into the top 3. Top 3 is an additional 2, then top 2 is an additional 4, and first place gets an additional 5. So a lot of late placements in the top 3 spots really being where you want to get to. As we pop back on board, Lechi, Savage, and Benji, you can see 4 elims, so that was the pickup over there. Only 1 going through onto Chapix, which means theoretically there's still that top duo running around right now as they find another on the back of Mr. Savage. That's 5 for the trio.
This is going to be an opportunity for Benji's, Lechi, and Savage to make a statement game, just like in NA East, where Zayt got 2 back-to-back opening victory royales and coming into 2nd place and 3rd place. You know, Benji, Lechi, and Savage have to understand that a Doom's domain is going to be so strong, and they're not going to let the EU scene get away, NA scene get away with that. And this is the strong start we were talking about. These knights are out there, are jousting, and they're doing very well as we enter Zone 6, which is going to be the first full rotation. As you saw for a brief moment, the zone is pulling completely out, and they have to move south. But the good news is, Sundown, they're currently sitting right in front of that pool.
And they're sitting there. They have positioning. Only 1 heavy bullet in on Lechi. He should be communicating that over to be able to get any access, because the sniper, especially in this situation, boom, there it goes, 29 being dropped over there from Savage. What a pal. But the sniper in this particular situation is a lot more potent than you think, because the people will be opening up these quick windows looking for tags, and all of a sudden those headshots come through. However, we talked about that top duo still being in. Queasy picking up an elim onto YZip, and that's going to signal our placement points coming through. Top 17 is in, so now every trio that's dropping is an additional point. It makes those eliminations that much more valuable, especially when you get the full elims on the trio. And you can see some good tarping right now. Lechi on the backside playing more of the role of the fragger, looking for any edits, and Thomas HD is also still in the picture as he gets it down onto Mexify. We're going to wait for the server to catch up as they continue tarping forward.
Such a beautiful thing. This is what I love about the trio, seeing people form these tarps. The layers are kind of forming at the moment. The tres leches cake is forming. You're going to have a bottom layer, a mid layer, and height, of course, all in contention. If you're sitting here on mid layer where Savage, Benji, and Lechi are, they have opportunities to send beams down below. And the great opportunity is the zone's going back up north. So this beautiful tarp that Sundown mentioned is going to allow all our competitors to go right through. But as you see, that's the mid layer. Below them is, of course, the low ground, and they have to deal with navigating through those builds. But the ones at up height that we'll soon get a picture of are sitting pretty, because all they have to do is walk all over old builds and can continue beaming down. Now, Puchik and Hen are cooking up right now on the mid layer as Deceptos picks up a 3-piece right then and there and gets a really strong trio who's in our current top 5 here. And look who's on height. It is Mongrel, Mitro, and Tayson.
Monjo, Mikro, and Tayson on hype, but that was so huge from Deceptos and Patrick. We talked about it, the fact that Hen going down, that's a huge part of their clutch factor, but they took out the team who's directly in contention with them, just one space right in front of them there, and now they're trying to push forward. You can see Kezek's all by his lonesome, but we've seen so many individual clutches coming out. What can he do with this space? And every single additional point he's able to get, and not only is that an elimination point, that's a placement points too coming through from Kezek's, trying to find some more space on the backside of the zone, using the AR and whatever. He still has 64 builds, but not necessarily having to use them, as he's just kind of a rat stuck in a maze trying to find whatever space he can. Crashbag comes through, no threat going on to him, but he has plenty of room right now. 21 players remaining, and that's another point coming through solo from Kezek's. As you see, still Mongro, Mitro, Tayson, high ground, uncontested, unthreatened.
And they are starting off the day uncontested, and can they end the game one uncontested and be the last trio standing high with the victory royale? On your top right is Mongrel, and you're seeing the pressure that he's applying to everybody down below, which is Umpify that you're seeing on your bottom right of the screen. Umpify is doing his best to try to find a moment, a chink in this armor to kind of bolt their way up, and once they get a strong tag, then the team up top of Mongrel, Tayson, and Mitro gonna have to watch out, because the shockwaves could come on through. If you're looking on the overview screen, Deceptos goes down. Yanis is on the blow. Refguard is still up. Matzo, Umpify, and ADN, a strong trio, is still up. Andalix is still up as well. A lot of big names in this fight, but the question is, can Mongrel get a victory royale with this trio? Umpify with the two-piece on your bottom right. He is on fire, as he is the only remaining duo with his teammate, ADN.
And you can see now we're into the top 4 as the challenge for height ends up going out. Umpify is going to end up being knocked by the storm. That's huge if they're able to convert that over. Mongrel also getting the finish onto Janus as we hop on board with the young English Lord. Now you can see 6 teams remaining. They're the only full trio. It's a 3v2v1 with a 2-on-1 being underneath. That one is going to go down there, as is now Cubex and Seti against Mongrel, Mitro, and Tayson. So now the question is, who has the HP lead and who has the excess utility? Can you find the gap as we go to the full closure? This is Storm Zone number 9. Seti goes down to Tayson. We're on board here with Mongrel, who has no extra heals. So the question is, does Cubex have white HP? If Cubex has white HP and Mongrel can't find him, that's the game. And Mongrel finds him! Runs back into the storm. Bandage cannon sounds going off. He pops the emote, says take.
These guys were like in that top 15 overall. I want to see how far they push up. The top 5 though, Queasy, Milan, and Chapix, we saw one of them go down a little bit early in some previous competitions. Now getting all that knowledge in for the trio in terms of how we're going to be rotating, what the best sites to be at. They'll net up all the way in 5th. This is how far that win got Mongrel, Mitro, and Tayson.